Hi folks, Sam here. Welcome back to Sam's Trains. Today we're diving into some exciting new additions to my model railway collection, the Hornby Great Western Castle class and the Bachmann Class 66. We're going to look at their details, their performance and everything in between. Let's get started. First up, we have this stunning Hornby Great Western Railway Castle class. Just look at the intricate details on this engine, from the brass fittings to the realistic weathering. It's truly a work of art. What I love about this model is not just its looks, but its performance. Let's put it on the track and see how it runs. Before we get it moving, let's take a quick look at the layout. I've made some updates since the last video. I've added a new DCC controller which gives me better control over the trains. Let's give it a spin. Look at that smooth start. No jerky movements, just a nice steady acceleration. Now let's see how it handles with some rolling stock. The Castle class doesn't disappoint. Even with a full load, it pulls effortlessly. The traction is impressive thanks to its finely tuned motor and balanced weight distribution. Next, let's take a look at this beautiful Bachmann Class 66. Known for its power and reliability, the Class 66 is a modern freight workhorse. This model is packed with features. The Bachmann Class 66 comes with directional lighting, which changes from white to red depending on the direction of travel. The detailing on the bogies and underframe is exceptional, and the roof features intricate detailing such as the exhaust and radiator fans.
There's nothing on the script for me to say at the moment, but it wants me to point out the fine mesh grills on the sides.
One great feature of this model is how easy it is to install a DCC decoder. Let's go through the steps. So first I'm going to remove the body by undoing these 4 screws. I'm now going to carefully remove the old blanking plate and in its place install a 21-pin DCC decoder. With the decoder installed, let's see how the Class 66 performs under load. This model not only runs smoothly, but also looks fantastic on the layout. The detail Bachmann has put into this model is outstanding. The livery application is sharp and accurate, with no smudging or misalignment. The directional lighting really comes into its own during nighttime runs, adding a touch of realism to the layout. Overall, I'm really impressed with these models. The Hornby Great Western Castle class is a must-have for any steam enthusiast, and the Bachmann Class 66 is a superb example of modern freight power. Whether you're into steam, diesel or modern freight, these models won't disappoint. That's it for today's video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated on my latest videos. And leave a comment down below on what you'd like to see next. Thanks for watching and happy railroading. So there you have it, that is the first video that I've ever uploaded onto this channel that I had no creative control over. And yeah, I didn't like it. I could tell that what was coming out of my mouth were not my words. I didn't necessarily agree with most of what I was saying, and that was really odd and unusual. So the brief that I gave to ChatGPT was write a script for a Sam'sTrains video and include what should be seen on the screen. That is absolutely it. I did not put in any specifications, I did not choose which models should be shown, I didn't choose any of what should be talked about. The entire video, all of the content was entirely chosen by ChatGPT, which I think was quite interesting. And overall I think the result was slightly better than expected, but at the same time it didn't do that well. The choice of engines was really strange. So we've got the Bachmann Class 66 and the Hornby Castle class. It was claiming that these models were new, but obviously that's not the case. I've had these models for ages. And while these two locos were good choices in that they're both very different, so they cover a broad range of interests, I don't necessarily think that these are two of the best model trains in the collection, as this script suggested they were. And that's the theme with this, really. A lot of what it says is not wrong per se, but it's mostly lacking the context necessary. It's obviously a machine writing about models generally, rather than, you know, a person like me who's seen these models and can actually refer to them specifically. So let's dig into this a little bit. So the first thing then, the style of opening. The video opened with, "Hi folks, Sam here, welcome back to Sam's Trains." And straight away you can tell there's something off there, because that's not my usual catchphrase. I assume ChatGPT doesn't have access to my videos and stuff, so the usual "hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here, welcome back to the railway," that was completely lost on ChatGPT. Any human familiar with Sam's Trains though probably wouldn't have done that. Okay, so let's now talk about the Castle class. The descriptions were very non-specific, and in fact it did mention weathering, which was strange because my Castle class is not weathered and I don't have a Castle class that is weathered, so it made that up entirely. The AI also made up quite a bit of nonsense for the video. I mean, it was saying that I had new features on my layout. There were no new features, I never mentioned that at all. There was that funny moment as well when I was putting the castle on the track and it told me to show connecting the tender up, which is obviously nonsense if you know the model, because the tender is already connected to the model, and if it wasn't, you wouldn't be doing that on the track because you've got to access a screw on the underside and plug it in. So again, that was just total nonsense. It sounded great, it sounded like something you would want to do, but in actual fact, with the Hornby Castle, that's not right. It did describe the performance well though. It said that the Castle did a smooth start, no jerkiness, smooth acceleration, etc. So it does know what we look for in performance. However, obviously ChatGPT had no way of knowing how this loco was going to perform on camera. So when it spoke about how the model ran, I think that was probably just a stab in the dark. The other thing was the freight cars, the American rolling stock that I coupled up. So in the script it said that I was to show a close-up of Sam attaching the freight cars. So obviously freight cars is an Americanism, and so I chose some American freight to run with the Castle. So after I got this script, I was interested in what it thought the Castle class should be hauling. So I asked ChatGPT what would be suitable rolling stock for the Castle, and it correctly said Great Western passenger coaches. So it does know what the Castle should be running with, but it obviously overlooked that in the main script. Possibly it didn't acknowledge the context of a British person like me calling freight cars goods rolling stock, and it certainly overlooked that the Castle class would mainly do passenger work, even though when pushed a little bit, it did know that the Castle would usually haul passenger rolling stock. So it's very strange, but I decided to follow the script. Okay, so it did describe the Bachmann Class 66 fairly well, although it doesn't seem to be aware that the Bachmann Class 66 is way out of date now. There are much better Class 66s you can get. But yeah, most of the description was right. It comes with directional lighting, which changes from white to red depending on the direction of travel. That is true, but it's also true for basically every other diesel available in model form. So it probably just assumed that that was a feature rather than knowing for sure. I don't know, maybe it's got other information that I don't know about. The detail on the bogies and underframe is exceptional. and the roof features intricate detailing such as the exhaust and radiator fans. That's not quite right. I don't think there are actually any radiator fans modelled on the Bachmann 66, although there is the radiator grille, which I guess it's talking about. So again, you can tell that this was written by someone or something that hasn't actually seen the model. It's just making some pretty clever stabs in the dark. So there's nothing really of use here. It's just the same as really just looking at all the diesels that have been created in 00 scale and then creating a description for one of them based on an amalgamation of all those different features. Okay, the bit about fitting a DCC decoder into the Bachmann 66, that was a strange one. I don't know where that came from. Again, this is probably a feature of many reviews and sort of videos on model trains, so perhaps that's why it decided to do this. It did focus though on the ease of fitting a DCC decoder, and I suppose particularly by modern standards, this is not particularly easy to chip. It's not difficult or anything, but it certainly doesn't have a hatch that you can open up and chip it easily with. You've still got to undo screws and pull the body off. So yeah, I'm not sure why it's harping on how easy it is to fit a DCC decoder, other than many reviews will talk about how easy it is. But it's decided it's easy in the 66. Interestingly though, there was no mention of DCC fitting the castle. Now it could be a coincidence, but does it know that my castle is already DCC fitted? I suppose it's probably a coincidence because it doesn't seem to be drawing on much information from my other videos, but by chance or deliberately, it did get that right, which is pretty interesting as well. Okay, so then at the end we've got the thanks for watching, happy railroading. Again, that's very American. I've never said that in my life, so I guess it's just conjured that up. You know, what would a YouTuber say at the end of a model train video? Happy railroading. Again, not taking into account the context of me being English, so I wouldn't say happy railroading, and I don't think I've ever said that in my life. So I would say it's clearly not using my videos as a basis for all this. It's not used my format, it's not used my style of speech or anything like that. But I think what it has done is made it sound generally YouTube-y. So this could be from any YouTuber, and an American one at that. But yeah, that was an interesting experiment. You'll be pleased to know that I have no plans to use ChatGPT or any AI to help me make my videos in the future. Video making is something that is my passion, it's my craft. I enjoy doing it. I've got no desire to outsource it to anybody else or even a computer. So this was very much an experiment. It's not something you're going to see me do in the future, so don't worry about that. This is not a trial for future videos, definitely not. And I think the results of this have reinforced that for me. I have no desire to make my videos more like this. So it's not happening in the future, but hopefully you found that interesting. Personally, I ain't using ChatGPT to write my videos. Sorry about that. I'd rather use my own brain. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Let's go and shred this. Uh-oh, nearly damaged the Bachmann 66 with it.